Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Build Time. We've got Stefan Kudla here, and he's going to go over some really cool stuff. I'm Tony Spiro, CEO at Cosmic, and we're going to be showing you how to do a really cool blog built using Astro. So Stefan's been kind of doing a comparison between Next.js and Astro, and this one he built pretty nicely. It looks amazing, and
Well,
yeah,
thank you.
looking forward to getting into it. Hey, Stefan, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Tony. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
I
Yeah,
see
excited
this.
to get into this. All right, so let me
Yeah,
allow you to share your screen, and
beautiful.
all right, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Hello, everybody. So, yeah, today we're kind of doing some Astro stuff. I think um, we've seen in the recent months, like, Astro's been around, but it's definitely gotten some good buzz recently. And, at Cosmic, we're like, yeah, let's take a look at Astro. Let's see what it's all about. And, I would say we love Next.js over at Cosmic, and why not give Astro kind of a chance? So like, what is Astro? Well, it's a meta framework. It's another meta framework in the world of meta framework madness, but its whole, I guess, philosophy is like ship less. And I found this post from them just over a year ago, and kind of this idea. There's a simple secret to building a faster website: just ship less. So kind of by default, the philosophy is ship less JavaScript. I think JavaScript, we see it slows down websites a lot, and for certain use cases, you don't need a lot of JavaScript. So the idea is, why ship it? Um, yeah, Astro's fun. You can work with their own components, and they're very straightforward to use. But you can also use like React components, Svelte components, Vue components. So you can kind of opt into things. That's the whole idea, is start with the native Astro philosophy, as I keep saying, and then opt the JavaScript in. You can opt JavaScript into the client so that if you do need some functionality, you pop it in. Same with the components. If you need a React component, you can import a little Astro package into your project and start using React. So, here's like Astro now. Here's their website. And I think they're very well supported at the moment. Like, they've got a lot of really good templates. See if we can just kind of go through a few things. I always like to touch on this because, you want to pick up a new framework, but sometimes you don't want to sit there and take all the time to learn it and to, know the ins and outs of it. Luckily, Astro is very familiar if you write a lot in React. It's got a similar feel, but just with kind of maybe different organizing, as I would say, like maybe where you write your JavaScript and all that. So, um, yeah, actually, this is kind of our demo today, and it's just a Astro blog built with Cosmic and Astro, and it was really actually easy to just go in and kind of fork their starter template, which was actually, I mean, it's really simply just homepage with a bunch of cards. And yeah, they've got a bunch of nice templates. And I want to touch on that real quick because um, if you're doing a lot of like read-only content-based websites with like, you don't need a lot of interactivity, maybe um, a very simple marketing website, you're showing off your product, or a documentation website, or a blog, it's like super great for that because you won't need to opt into the client side JavaScript much at all. So it's kind of important to note that. Um, yeah, so like, as you can see, you can just get going with this really simple example, and I think it's important to be able to do that because you get a directory all set up for you, so you get an idea of how like the standard Astro project is laid out. And like, I guess I'm using Next.js as a comparison just because I think it's got a lot of buzz and a lot of hype, and it's a really nice framework to use, a really nice experience. So like, a few things right off the bat, you don't see like that document or the app component. And you simply just get your index page. Obviously, it's your home page, and you start working with that. You can build a layout just like Next.js.
Really quick, I
Yeah.
think it's important to note here, like the specific use case that this is trying to solve, right? Because I think that,
Absolutely.
um, in my opinion, this is really opinionated when it comes to like building out a static website, right? So it wouldn't be something you would want to choose for like a single page web application, or maybe something that has more interactivity, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely very specialized when it comes to like optimizing a static website, right? So it may be
Yeah.
something that you would choose over, let's say, Gatsby, or maybe Next.js if you're using it in like a static mode. So that's kind of the comparison here, right? Is like it's very much kind of like running a build process to spit out just static HTML with very minimal JavaScript.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point because even I kind of learned this just the other day. It's like you go through an Astro project and right off the bat, like it has a different feel than like, for example, this Next.js blog that we've also built. It's got a different feel. And obviously what I learned just completely overlooking this part of Astro is that it's by default, it's a multi-page application builder, right? So every time you're going to these new pages, you're served an entirely new HTML page. Whereas like something like Next.js, it's a single page application. So all of these components in here are just templated and the content is filled in. So you get a kind of different feel to it. And
Well, on that note, it's
yeah,
I guess Next.js is more of kind of a hybrid, right? So like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so you know, as far as like the static HTML, everything is there like on page load, right? For SEO purposes, like all those blog posts
Yes.
in your Next portfolio
Yeah.
website, those are all rendered server side, but then you
Yeah.
get the added bonus of like kind of that spa single page application, like that interactivity where you click on different
Yeah.
links and then it kind of has like a client side refresh, and so you get like kind of the best of both worlds, right? I guess that's your
Yeah.
approach. But with
Yeah.
Astro, it's just you're strictly using it for uh, building HTML pages without that
Yeah.
interactivity.
Yeah, no, that absolutely. And I think that's a big deciding factor for when people are choosing maybe Astro or Next.js is kind of Next.js offers you so many different rendering patterns and the flexibility is really there. With Astro, you can opt into some of them, but like you said, it's kind of opinionated. It's pretty opinionated toward that very kind of static experience. And while you can opt into it, um, it's not like the most optimal Astro pattern. And they touch on these Astro islands a lot. I think this is a great metaphor, a great reference where the whole idea of opting into an interactive UI. And yeah, cool. Okay. So that's a little bit of Astro, what it is, who it might be for. Um, so I mean, without further ado, Tony, we might as well just hop into kind of like this demo and maybe a little bit more so like what we've got going on the Cosmic side of it and everything. How's that sound?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Yeah.
Shall we show everyone
Yeah.
the code?
Yeah. Let's show them. Let's show them. Yeah. So okay.
Here's the code.
The code. Da, 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 da. So yeah, basically, I mean, super simple, right? Like,
Can you zoom in a little? I think it
yeah,
always helps to get
absolutely. A little
few more
laptop.
percentages
One
in.
more, one more.
That should be fine. I think it's good.
Okay, yeah, I'll go back one because I can barely see now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, Astro. Well, let's just break it down like top to bottom. I mean, here you still got components, and as you can see, like let's bring in like this card component. You can do Astro components, which I think are very straightforward as far as the pattern you write your code in. You put all your JavaScript up into in between these little ticks like this, and then you put them all between, and then that's essentially where uh, you write your JavaScript. And so basically you can tie in props to the actual Astro component itself, which is, I think it's a nice touch. I think it's an easy thing to use, as opposed to something like, when we're rendering a React component. Um, actually tying like your props to the component itself. I kind of wonder if it's similar thing going on under the hood. I wonder if it's still a function like React, how these are basically all just functions rendering DOM content. But yeah, and then you basically can just pull all the data you have up here, you pull it into this little HTML template, and that's an Astro component. I mean, it's familiar. I think it's a little bit more simple in a way. I enjoyed writing my code up here and putting it down there, but yeah, so
I
as
think
we
it's
go
really cool.
further,
Like
yeah,
this
yeah,
pattern. So as I was exploring it as well, I didn't go as deep as you into kind of all the functionality and everything. But my initial impression was this is quite nice. This abstraction of like, the difference between like writing like pure React or pure JavaScript and doing
yeah,
Astro is like they've really kind of removed a lot of the boilerplate, right? And so
yeah.
a lot of like kind of the function declarations and like kind of React type of syntax that you would have to write, you really don't have to do that here. It really kind of takes you kind of a step further in the abstraction process, and kind of is a nice experience, I think, for newcomers.
Totally agree. It's a good developer experience. I mean, the holistic view of developer experience when you kind of narrow into the lower level of the developer experience of just writing the code and how like where to write it, there's really no like question. You write your JavaScript up here and it's like, there we go. That's it. And then it's like you have two halves of the field. This is your JavaScript half or importing things, importing libraries, all that kind of stuff, all your functionality. And then this is your HTML. And you're of course we're using Tailwind here because I read something today and it was like it was a list. It was like use these three frameworks and you'll have a really hard time going back. Tailwind is one of those because you start using Tailwind and I don't ever want to go back to writing just like inline styles or writing with style sheets or anything or Sass. But anyway, yeah, write everything here. So yeah, as we keep going, here we go. Like this is our first instance of using a React component, and with Astro, you can use all sorts of different frameworks: React, Svelte, Vue. So you got options, and I think developers we like options. Everyone loves options, and it's really simple actually. You do have to opt into it. It's not like they're going to ship all those component imports right off the bat, but still very simple. Import React from Astro.js React, and then you just basically call it in this config, and there you go. You got access to it. Actually, you don't have to import it into the component or anything. Um, but yeah, so those are kind of components, and as you can see, might as well just cover this real quick, but we did this in, I think it was 2 weeks ago in our video, in our build time episode, and just this React Markdown because it was just the best solution I could find for now. From getting our Markdown content for blog posts from a headless CMS and just popping it in. I know Astro does a lot of Markdown support, though it's MDX support, and it's if you're hosting your data and your content natively in your directory, which we're not here, so let's keep going. Let's keep going down the line here. Um, Images, nothing different about that. Okay, layouts, very similar to anything like React or Next.js, where you can just create all sorts of different layouts. You can create a main layout, you can create a marketing layout, a user layout, whatever you want. Um,
What is this slot component?
yeah, so slots cool. So you know how, okay, so in Next.js, it's just the equivalent of children. Like in Next.js, you pop the children in, but in this layout, we basically just have um, all of the components and all of the HTML we want to put into our layout itself, and everything in between is the slot. So we've got like our navigation up here, right here. Probably
And you
easier to
don't
show
declare that
this.
anywhere, right? Like it's just a kind of
It's just kind
built
of,
in.
yeah, it's just totally built in. There's a few features that are a little built in that if you don't, they might throw you off. But like I said, like the initial starter template, they really kind of set you up for success, I would say. They give you they don't kind of give you any gotchas or like you need to do this or anything like that. So it's very developer oriented, kind of like modern what you'd be building and the patterns you'd be using. But yeah, basically, I mean, you can see, yeah, you got like your head, your body, and then this is the navigation component right here. Um, and then everything inside slot is just the content that's simply changing in between this navigation and the footer. So yeah, very familiar with Next.js where um, I think what is it in Next? It's just like the children, or I think it's just children simply, and you're passing it through there. So yeah, layouts are cool, easy to use. We'll get into Cosmic here after we go kind of over just the more cosmetic stuff. Page structures, easy to use, of course. Your index page is your root page of your website. Um, as you can see here, we're just simply passing everything in through the layout component. And like we just mentioned with the slot, all of this HTML, this is everything that's passing into that slot. With the layout, you can have props, very convenient, like metadata props. You can put the title in there.
And
That's
layout is
actually,
declared at the top of the page, right? So you have to
yes,
declare
yeah,
layout.
you do have to,
Gotcha.
that's a good point. You do have to import the layout. Um, but yeah, right off the bat, that's what I mean too. Like they pop you in with like this title and just the little things. I enjoy the little things. Um, Similar as well for the blog page where we have the blog index page or slash blog page for a website. Same kind of stuff here. Dynamic routes. Let's kind of get into it now. It looks like we've covered a lot of things. Actually, shall we cover maybe some of the simple? There's a couple of things I'll touch here real quick, and this is part of the developer experience of Astro, and I think it's good. There's the good, there's the bad, right? The bad comes with the good comes with the bad. I think with Astro, there's a lot of things like Tailwind's great. Like everyone, like a lot of people love Tailwinds. It's a good tool to use. Astro does provide a lot of tools, a lot of integrations, they call it. So we might as well just check a few of them out, right? So um, now the nice thing about these integrations, where's Tailwind? Hold on, there you are. The nice thing about these integrations are rather than just installing like Tailwind to your Astro project, you actually can install it with this npx Astro add Tailwind. And I was actually very surprised with it. I really enjoyed that process because what it does is you install it and then Astro goes through and configures your project. It will basically it added already the Tailwind config file, which was cool, and it automatically defines it in your integrations here, which is also great. So I think those are little touches that save the developer some time, and maybe when you're working with a new framework, they save you even just that quick like referencing the docs page to go back and just be like, okay, I need to do this, step one, two, and three, and then I can do it. But it's like, cool, I just added Tailwind and it's good to go. Um, yeah, it's it. There's nothing really crazy to the configuration of Astro. When you initialize a project, they do in the command line they'll ask you some configuration projects. I opted for TypeScript here, strict TypeScript, and yeah, because type safety, you know. Okay, without further ado, let's kind of get into how are we how are we integrating Cosmic here? Well, let's just kind of take a look at our Cosmic dashboard too, just to kind of get an idea of our content structure here. Very simple, simple bucket we've got here. 3 blog posts. We've got tags, so we're not like hard coding in our blog tags, like our categories for each post. We've got an author object here, so you can add different authors and it'll automatically update, and you link these posts to the author. Super simple here with Cosmic. Just a cover image, multiple tags, an excerpt, markdown content, and an author. Um, and then lastly, here on this blog page, we just have a featured post. Why not? Just a big old post to kind of direct people what your most recent post is, or maybe something you're proud of, whatever. And that's it. It's just a single object relation, selecting one of these three posts here. And yeah, so that's our cosmic structure there. Now,
Oh, that's nice. And then it will
yeah,
filter out that featured post from your post list.
yeah, exactly. So
Cool.
it'll just like here. Actually, I guess might as well get the local host running. Pretty much the
So then
same.
really quick, I think I remember
Sure.
talking to you about something having to do with like configuring the connection between Astro and Cosmic, and ideally you do that with environment variables, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so let's explore that really quick before we jump into
Sure.
like pulling the content. Let's see the
Yeah.
kind of the configuration to connect to your Cosmic bucket and what that looks like,
Yeah.
and maybe just some of the gotchas with the Astro
Sure.
approach to this.
Good point. Good point, because there's one small difference. And I mean, shall we go through kind of like a do the top, start with Cosmic? What do you think?
Sure, yeah, let's see
Sure.
how to do the
Just a
integration
base
part.
refresher. Sure, yeah. So Cosmic, you go through your settings, API access, and you'll get your bucket slug and your read key are going to be the only two things we really need for this project. Um, so basically grab those, keep them on the side burner. Let me just real quick to just so we have it for reference, environment variables, documentation in Astro. And I got a little confused here because originally with environment variables, you're gonna pull your environment variables with process.env. Uh, is that just a native JavaScript thing?
That's a
What is
no
process? It's a
global
node thing.
variable. Yeah,
Got it.
so process.env
Yeah,
is native to Node.
got it. So yeah, in Astra here they use Vite principles, and I've actually never used Vite at all. So um, there's that. So instead of process.env, you're actually using import.meta.env, which apparently is a Vite principle. Nothing too crazy. And then the only other thing is you have to declare your environment variables. Let me just make sure here. You use public. Um, you prefix them.
Well, do you? So
I
like
maybe not actually.
so maybe for this use case, I would probably say that you don't need to do that, right? Like if it's on
Yeah,
everything is running on the build, maybe we can try that
I
live
think
here.
you.
We
Yeah, I
can
think you're actually right.
remove public and see that it's probably it probably should work if it's just running, a build process to spit out static HTML.
Yeah, I let's see.
Now, if you were doing like interactive JavaScript, then that's the case where you would want to have public, it seems,
Yeah,
right?
I think yeah, let's see. Restart the dev server.
Did you see that the latest version of Next.js ships with environment variable live reloading?
Yeah, that's pretty
So
that's pretty
that's
cool.
that's what I
We
was
were
wondering if Astro offered that as well. Um,
nah,
but yeah,
actually I
that's
guess
that's one of those
yeah.
like quality of life enhancements that as a developer is just pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah. Uh yeah, it's tough to Next.js and Vercel, they're just constantly doing those quality of life features with Next, and it's kind of hard to beat. I mean, I think they're doing the hot reloading for environment variables, and then what was it? TypeScript. You just type in a .tsx file, .ts file, and it'll automatically it'll automatically install and configure TypeScript. So here's I think it is the so we're not finding the bucket. I swear I was
Interesting.
having the weirdest thing going on. Let's test that though.
Maybe we'll
Is
just
does it
maybe we'll
hot
keep
load
it
well?
public for now and look into it and see if
Oh,
we
and
need to change it.
actually, this is something that's kind of been annoying with Astros. A lot of these types of errors will just totally crash your development server. There we go, running. So that's what now we've got the public prefix on both of the environment variables, and it works. I don't know, you know what I mean? It's
Interesting.
it's something, right?
Okay, well
Um,
let's table that and see if we can figure out what's going on there because it seems like
yeah,
it would make sense for it to be a secret variable and it would be just fine to load on the build, but maybe there's an issue.
yeah, yeah. I think there might be something I'm missing there too. But yeah, let's keep it rolling here. So yeah, so that's kind of the environment variable process, just a little bit different than process.env. So on that note, we've got our Cosmic bucket set up. We've got some posts, we got content, we've
Where is
got
that
our
configured? You got a lib folder, right?
yes.
Let's look at
So
that.
we've got a lib folder here. Um, yeah, we've got it all configured, and now we're ready to kind of go in and do the
So start from
Cosmic.
line 4 here. So we got
Yeah,
our
sure.
yeah
Yeah, so
or
we got our bucket. We're calling API.bucket to access the API, and we're just importing the environment variables here. The slug and the read key is all we need here. And yeah, we kept it simple with this demo, just creating two async functions, one of them getting all the posts from our posts, and um, like this chaining methods here. These are new as of what is that? 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
yeah
4.2. Yeah.
it's included now with version 4.2. I think you're probably on the latest, the 4.2.10. And yeah, these chaining methods are quite a nice design upgrade. It's not a breaking change, so you can still use the old methods, but this is kind of the new way that we're encouraging fetching your objects.
Yeah, it's I think once I've converted a lot of projects to it, it's just easier to write at the end of the day. You just write less code. So um yeah, so quite simple actually with the Cosmic NPM module. We just import it into the file here and start creating our functionality to get the posts, get the objects. Um, and we can configure the type here with Cosmic, and we're looking for posts, which is just our posts. And if you don't know, you can always go into the developer tools, and if you are using the npm module, there's a great reference here. You can even test it out. You can run this code, get a response back, and kind of see what you're looking for. Um, Now let's go. So we've got the get all post, we've got the get featured post, and now we can kind of see what is going on in two places. I want to say here. Here we go. So this is just our home page, and this is where we are rendering this a list of posts. We're also doing this on the blog index page, but we'll start here. Um, and all we have to do is we just define a variable, which is our data, and we just call the function after importing it from our lib folder, our Cosmic file, and then we just get all the posts here, and we're able to now collect all that data in here to be used. So everything up in between these brackets is our JavaScript, and now we have access to it in our actual HTML, our templating here. So um, quite simply, all we're doing is mapping that data out to individual posts, and pushing that data through to a card component, which just renders the title. Um, I think we've got, the body is the excerpt here, and then just some tags, and the whole thing is all within a link to the post, which will bring us into our dynamic routes. And while Next.js, you might write get static paths and get static props below your component at the bottom of the page. With this example, with the headless CMS content and Astro, all we have to do here is get static paths and generate those paths so Astro knows to build them. And it was really simple to integrate this as far as the amount of code written. And once again, just calling that get all posts function, getting all that data, and then it's just going to take all the slugs from each post and pass those in as params. And then once again, we have access to our post as an object here with astro.props. So yeah, that's it. It's actually, I would say with Astro, it's maybe even a little easier for the basic example than Next.js, but there's really not a whole lot to it, and it's a good experience. Um, yeah, so
Cool.
yeah, so I mean, it's got a good feel to it, and before maybe we could get into some of the Astro kind of deeper level things, either maybe later another time here, but it's really important to point out like the performance of the Astro site is phenomenal because obviously we're shipping minimal JavaScript. So
Oh yeah, we can do a little
yeah,
lighthouse score network test.
yeah, sure, yeah. Let's
So are you
let's
shipping any JavaScript there at all?
zero
Wow.
JavaScript. Yeah. I mean, it's like why should I, what I mean? Even on
Yeah.
this example, it could be kind of the same idea. It's like, oh, I'm already under it. Yeah. I mean, let's check it out. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Literally zero JavaScript. There's no files here. All we're getting is just that's HTML. That's a document. That's it. It's super, I mean, 42.7 kilobytes of resources. It's super lightweight. Whereas here, right off the bat, just look at all this JavaScript. I mean, what's,
So
you
like at
know,
least 10 times amount of
absolutely. I mean, at least 652 transferred
652.
just in JavaScript. The
Uh,
whole file bundle of this initial 1 megabyte. I mean, that's pretty cool. I think when people rave about Astro, it's like that's pretty cool. Yeah, for the right use case, like yeah. I mean,
yeah.
even with these images,
And the image component is you mentioned it was quite nice. I haven't
yeah,
messed around with it too much,
yeah.
but you get the
It's
same like optimization out of the box with that you would with like next image.
yeah, yeah. So
Cool.
yeah, you do. It's really easy to use. I would say there's a couple of things that I personally liked even better. Um, and that's like, oh boy, give me a second. Yeah, here's a good example. So yeah, it's a lot like the next image component. I mean, it's cool. You integrate it. It's an integration, so it's supported by Astro. You use npx add Astro image. Or I think it don't. Yeah, let's make sure. I don't want to set anyone up. Here we go. First one right here. Yeah, npx Astro add image, or you're on Astro or PNPM, whatever your preference is. But once again, simple, does the configuration for you, and you import it into your Astro component or page. And yeah, it's great to use. I mean, pass in the source, works with remote images, works with static images. you can define the format directly. So did WebP. WebP's cool. It's new. It's efficient. And this is where I really enjoyed this component in particular because I've run into a lot of kind of little workarounds, and it's kind of the concept of you don't know like the file you're going to be served from maybe a headless CMS or remotely. You're not exactly sure like of the aspect ratio, and unless you have a very known, I guess, pattern of the images used. Let's say you work with a team and it's not super, no one's technical, and like they give you like a portrait image, or I mean, okay, a portrait image here might be kind of tricky, but you can set the aspect ratio. So you set the width, and then you can just use like a 16:9 aspect ratio, and that way all of these images just take on the same kind of format, and it brings this nice for conformality, conformedness. Don't know what the right word is, but um, and yeah,
Consistency.
yeah, exactly. Everything's formal. It's a good component. It's really good. You can pass in your Tailwind classes to it. I think I want to say what I like about it is and I know Next.js is kind of, actually it might have been in 12.3, but getting rid of a lot of those wrapping elements. Next.js image ships with a lot of spans, and there's like z-index things going on and absolute positioning. It's a little tricky, all the container stuff, but I mean, I love this because I think I, semantic HTML is like, I think it's obviously it's really great. Like you want to be accessible and everything, but even just for performance and SEO, like even just as a developer going into some code, it's like when you see that div and the span and the div and the image, and you're just like, oh, the image div hell. And this is nice because it's just an image component. I mean, it's nothing more, nothing less. It's not trying to be anything else. It's just an image component. And yeah, we got a good image, good file size here at 7.9 kilobytes, nice and optimized. I don't know what their quality setting is by default, but I'm assuming something, I don't know, 60, 70%, something nice that optimizes everything nicely. Um, and I believe it is generating the source. I want to say it's delivering different images. I mean, I'm just getting 7.9 around. Maybe it might have to do with the fact that the kind of under the hood of this, but yeah, it's nice. It's nice to use. Now, there's a drawback. There's a drawback to this image component, and that is unfortunately finding out the hard way. You cannot use it in anything other than an Astro component. And this was very disappointing for me. Um, but because obviously we're not using Next.js, so we can't just pop the, as much as I want to pop the next image component into our React file here. But
So
it
the
is,
difference here is that for your Next.js developer portfolio template, you were able to pass through the next image component here at like line 24. You can pass that
yes,
through, and then it can render into React
yes,
Markdown. But here, you can't do that with some
yeah,
limitation imposed on Astro's image component.
exactly.
Okay.
And it's just a big bummer because like this solution here of using one of my favorite packages, the React Markdown package, is so useful in building these components that you can just transform your Markdown into React components. Like it's great. Come on. But one of the OP things about Next Image is like you pop that image component in, and it's like, bam! Now you have, I mean, in your, let's say you have a bunch of images in your Markdown. Like that's a little, it can be a little tricky to handle that. But with the image component, you simply use it, and here, disable it, and it lazy loads all the images in the body. So now you can see it's just lazy loads, and that's like great. I mean, that's gonna really improve your page loads and your performance and everything. And the fact that if you're already developing with Next.js and you just want to do this kind of pattern to get your markdown all looking nice and pretty, then I mean it's just so nice. But yeah, I couldn't do that. And I think even tried using a different library like React Imagix and something on the Astra end was just not liking it wasn't liking that component. So I kind of wonder if in the future there's going to be issues with certain JavaScript libraries or certain React libraries that might have trouble. I don't know. So it was kind of a bummer, but what
Maybe
I
something that will
yeah
change in the future. I imagine that you know, if we were to post this on their GitHub issues list, it may even be something that people are already requesting, right? So
yeah
I imagine they're going to continually improve some of these things that are creating friction.
it's a yeah it's true. And from what I've seen, they have really good support. They have a good community behind them, and they're responsive to the community. We had, I mean, we had someone on our team reaching out to their or having a posing a question in the community Discord or something, and they got a response. I mean, within minutes. So that's a good sign. I think those who are wondering, like, where the hype is with it and where the support is, where the community stands with Astro, it's always comforting to know, like, if there's a lot of developers contributing to it and just being responsive, and that's always a good sign. So um yeah, I mean, believe in Astro, like there's support. So there could be a lot of rollouts and I mean, I'm sure there will be a lot of rollouts and updates and fixes for these things.
Hmm.
um yeah, but aside from that image, this isn't the most optimized example here. It's kind of just a quick fix of making making sure it loaded lazily.
Hmm.
Still, even with that, it might not be the most optimized thing, but still we still get lazily loaded images here, which is, well, it solves that. But as you can see, the problem is those images are horrendously large. I mean,
Oh yeah.
4.4 megabytes.
So
That's,
you can't do the nice optimizations that you would normally do.
yeah, you
Yeah.
got to really get in there and kind of do them. I'm sure there's a few, I want to say
There's
there's a few
there's something you can hard
libraries.
code into that code that you just showed actually if you wanted to like you since you're using
Yeah,
Imagix you could
well,
probably
I'm,
attach
yeah, I'm not, oh, you mean the Imagix
yeah because we're using
file.
Imagix
Yeah.
the file you can actually append like some
Is
query
there like
parameters yeah so
do
you
we
can do it
try
this
it?
way
Do you have it on the
but
top of your head?
you can set the width to like just 2x whatever you want. So maybe what's that containing area width is like maybe 600 or 700. So maybe set it to 1200. So W equals 1200, and then you could probably just. But this is not ideal. Obviously, you want to be able to import like
Yeah.
all of the source sets for various image,
What
desktop or mobile. But
yeah,
yeah, you can
yeah,
do
I got
question
you.
mark W equals 1200, and that could probably, a quick example can show you like how you can maybe satisfy that using Cosmic's,
That is really nice.
built-in
Yeah.
Imagix feature.
That's a pro move because I mean Cosmic does have the Imagix and
Yeah, so this could be a workaround. Obviously, you want to be able to get some of the nice to
it
have
does help.
features. Yeah,
Definitely.
that
Look at
helps.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
look at that. It actually helped quite a bit. So I'm sure you could actually go in and do a lot of Imagix params, right? Like you could
Yeah.
compress and
Yeah,
you
you can
can
do
that's much better.
format equals auto, so you can get like the WebP
Mm,
automatically optimized version.
that's really
Yeah, so
nice.
do auto equals format.
Oh,
Um,
nice. This is gonna get shipped.
yeah, we're gonna have to get some
That's
feedback from
nice.
Tom on this one. Tom at Imagix.
Yeah,
He's our
yeah,
guy. He'll
yeah. Oh, that's
he'll be on the
awesome.
show
There we
soon.
go. Yeah,
All right. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's
that saved even 80 more
there
kilobytes.
we
So there
go.
we go. Okay, well,
So we can do a little bit of
everybody, Tony
optimization,
Spyro,
a little
everybody, give it up
workaround
for
here.
Tony
Hey,
Spyro.
pair
Yeah,
programming. That's what I'm
that's
here for.
awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
All right,
Yeah, so
wonderful. So
let's,
hey, I
yeah,
think we should
sure,
wrap this one up. We
sure.
definitely we try to keep these to about 20 minutes. There was a lot in this one. I think it was great to
Yeah,
kind of get a nice intro of Astro and do a little comparison between this and
yeah.
Next.js. considering on their homepage they made a blatant comparison between the loading time between Astro and Next. I think it's nice to see, like, what the trade-offs are from your experience, your developer experience, and also kind of like what you've seen from the documentation. And yeah,
Yeah,
great work on just kind of giving us a good intro here.
yeah,
Thing that
sure.
you want to kind of add, what's your summary of the experience, and anything we can take away from it?
Yeah, I would say it's fun. I mean, there's a lot of hype, right? Like Astro hype, Next.js hype. Try it out for yourself. If you're kind of on the fence about it, just try it out. It's really not that much. It's not very complicated if you're coming from like Next.js. I mean, that's what I'm mainly developing in is Next.js, and just try it out. I think a lot of people will have fun with it, and for certain use cases, just like it's cool and it's performant and it's nice to use. So try it out, everybody.
Great. All right,
Yep.
that's a wrap. Thanks,
Sweet.
thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Bye.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.